Have you ever noticed that the bones in your arm look surprisingly similar to the bones in a bat's wing or a whale's fin? Or wondered why whales still have tiny hip bones even though they don't walk? These strange facts are not random. They are evidence of something very powerful in biology called evolution. Evolution refers to the slow and gradual change in the genetic makeup of a population over many generations. It explains how living organisms have changed over millions of years and why the organisms living on Earth today look different from those that lived in the past. Evolution does not happen in a single lifetime. It happens across long periods of geological time, shaping species little by little. Now, many people get confused when they hear the word theory in evolution. In everyday language, theory sounds like a guess, but in science, a theory is something very strong. A scientific theory is an explanation that is supported by large amounts of evidence, tested repeatedly, and accepted by the scientific community. So evolutionary theory is not a belief or an opinion. It is a well-supported explanation of how life changes over time. Early scientists also tried to explain evolution. One of them was Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. According to Lamarck, organisms could acquire new characteristics during their lifetime and pass those characteristics to their offspring. For example, he believed that a giraffe stretched its neck to reach tall trees, and this longer neck was then inherited by the next generation. Although this idea helped start evolutionary thinking, later discoveries showed that acquired traits are not inherited in this way. The correct explanation came from Charles Darwin. Darwin observed that individuals within a species are born with small variations. Some of these variations make an organism better suited to its environment. Those organisms survive longer, reproduce more, and pass their favorable traits to the next generation. Over time, these helpful traits become more common in the population. This process is called natural selection, and it forms the foundation of Darwin's theory of evolution. But how do we know evolution actually happened? Scientists have collected strong evidence from many different fields. One major source of evidence is comparative anatomy, which involves comparing body structures of different organisms. By studying both internal and external structures, scientists can identify how closely related species are. Some structures are called homologous structures. These structures may look different on the outside, but they share the same basic internal design and come from a common ancestor. A classic example is the pentadactyl limb found in vertebrates. Humans use it for holding, bats use it for flying, whales use it for swimming, and moles use it for digging. Even though the function is different, the bone pattern is the same, showing common ancestry. Other structures are known as analogous structures. These structures look similar and perform the same function, but they did not evolve from a recent common ancestor. Instead, they evolved due to similar environmental pressures. For example, the wings of birds, bats, and insects all help in flying, but their internal structures are very different. This shows that similar problems can lead to similar solutions in evolution. Some organisms also have vestigial structures. These are body parts that are present but no longer serve an important function. Their existence tells us that these structures were useful in ancestors. Examples include wisdom teeth in humans, the pelvis in whales, the appendix, and the tailbone. Vestigial structures provide strong evidence for evolutionary history and shared ancestry. Another important type of evidence comes from comparative embryology. When scientists study embryos of different vertebrates, they find striking similarities during early development. Features like gill slits, a notochord, and a postanal tail appear in embryos of fish, birds, reptiles, and mammals. The more closely related two species are, the more similar their embryos appear in early stages. Modern science also uses molecular homology to study evolution. This involves comparing DNA, genes, chromosomes, proteins, and amino acid sequences between organisms. Species that share more similarities at the molecular level are more closely related. By measuring genetic differences, scientists can calculate evolutionary distance and estimate when species diverged from a common ancestor. The fossil record provides another powerful line of evidence. Fossils are preserved remains or traces of past life, including bones, shells, footprints, and imprints. Fossils show us what organisms looked like in the past and how they changed over time. Some fossils are especially important because they are transitional fossils. These fossils show features of both ancestral and modern species. A famous example is Tiktaalik, a semi-aquatic organism that shows traits of both fish and early tetrapods. Another classic example is Archaeopteryx, which had feathers and wings like birds, but teeth and a long tail like reptiles. These fossils clearly demonstrate evolutionary links between major groups. When we put all this evidence together, comparative anatomy, embryology, molecular biology, and fossils, it tells one clear story. Life on Earth did not appear in its present form all at once. It evolved gradually, adapting to changing environments over millions of years. Evolution is the unifying concept of biology. It explains the diversity of life, the similarities between organisms, and the history written inside our bodies. Once you understand evolution, biology starts to make perfect sense.